Let's start this mug off. We'll start it off with a prayer, man. Dear Lord Almighty Father, Heavenly King, I thank you for providing these brothers with the courage, with the tenacity, with the go-gettedness, Lord, to come here today, not only to further their career, but to further their calling, their gifts that you have blessed them with, Lord. They're not satisfied with where they currently are. They want more, as do I. So we obviously all in this room for a reason, Lord. And I ask you to allow us to connect just like we should, and for everyone to ask what they want to ask, learn what they were meant to learn, and Lord, just speak through me as I host and curate this session, Lord, so that I can be the best teacher, host, and just mentor possible. In your name we pray, amen. Amen. Sure. So so just so y'all know, they asked me to host this group, and I was like, cool, can I pick a topic? And they were like, well, we have a topic for you. So I was like, all right, cool, bet. And me asking what the topic was, they weren't really clear on what they wanted me to speak on. So then, this is yesterday, literally, I got an email, and the email said to speak on the struggles and challenges of growing as an artist. So there are many, there are many struggles and challenges to growing as an artist. So this isn't something that I had to prepare. I don't have notes to come from. This is something that all comes from here. You know what I mean? The struggles and challenges of growing as an artist. And so I'm gonna sit here and talk to you all about some of the struggles and challenges that I have personally gone through with growing as an artist, and if it relates to y'all in any way, hopefully it'll strike a chord. If it's something you need to jot notes down, or you want to put something in your phone, by all means feel free to do so. And other than that, just like we kind of organically started doing already, feel free to ask me questions. Ask questions about my career, about my grind. We could put it in the context of your career and what you might be going through, but the struggles and challenges of growing as an artist, that'd be awesome. So I'm glad you're taping too, because I might get that tape from you eventually. Cool. Definitely. So keep it on the whole time. All right. So let's see. I would say that the main thing we all want as an artist is to maximize our potential. I think that's what I would classify being satisfied as. Number one, stop comparing yourself to other artists. Like the struggles and challenges of growing as an artist, a lot of them can be alleviated if you just stop comparing yourself to what another artist is doing. So me growing up in New Orleans and growing up seeing the Hot Boys and Lil Wayne and all this type of stuff, the standard of success could have been, to have the type of influence that they had, and seeing what they were able to do. But what I realized is that my talent and my mission and my calling is totally different, from what theirs was. So when you talk, that's a good idea, my brother. For real, it's a great idea. So that's number one, is to stop comparing yourself. It's so hard to do that though, because we have social media to where you're seeing all the updates from what another artist who you cool with, is doing, or what he has going on. Oh man, that dude just got signed, or he just got on a tour, and then you have that moment where you like, damn, bruh. Dang, dog. What's he doing? I know. What is he doing? Right, exactly. What is he doing? And it's really about identifying, like, in order to realize your potential as an artist, you have to understand like why you were placed in this game, and there's three things that's really important when it comes to that. Number one is like, what are you passionate about? Some people are artists and they don't even realize why they want to be an artist. Like why they're, why are you rapping? Like literally why? A lot of people have no real tangible answer to that. It's just, well, I'm good at it, but it's like, why? Like I think that everyone in here should really ask themselves, like, why am I rapping? What am I passionate about? And then you can identify not only what you're passionate about, but what you're good at, in terms of that. So for a lot of times, one of my struggles and challenges of growing as an artist is I was trying to be something I wanted to be, but that I wasn't necessarily good at, you know? And what I mean is, you gotta be prepared to say, man, like for me, if I grew up in the hood in New Orleans, and if I grew up seeing Lil Wayne, Master P, you know, Cash Money, Juvenile have an influence on people in my hood, then I'm like, man, I want to have that same influence on those people, but just have a more positive, you know, godly influence on them. And that'll be what I tell myself I want to do. But then I find myself for years getting stuck in no man's land, because it's like, I know I got the skills, so I'm not questioning that anymore. I know that my talent is good enough, but now it becomes difficult because when I put out music, those people who I want to reach don't react the same way that they react, you know, to the other stuff. And it's like, dang, like, what's going on? Like, I know I came with the fire punchlines, I know I came with the fire delivery, you know, I give a great live show. Why y'all not reacting the same way? Because that's who I want to reach. And I was literally closing myself off. Like, I would almost turn my back on anybody who wasn't from this demographic. Meaning, if you're not young, black, and pretty much like in the hood or going through something, you know, like going through, you know, some hardships in life. If you ain't from the hood, I almost don't even want my music to, you know, to reach you. That's how I was for a long time, you know, because I was afraid that, like, oh, if white people start to hear my music and bump it, or let alone the church, if people in the church start to gravitate to my music, that's gonna lose me cool points with the people who I want to reach, you know. Man, I made that mistake for probably, I must have made that mistake for about 7 years as an artist, you know what I mean? So for 7 years, I literally was sitting here doing everything I could, and I got real good at it. I would find the little subtle ways to mix in little messages, and I might water down what I talk about, but I would find a little way to mix in a little bit of substance and a message so that I could reach these people over here that I wanted to reach, you know, my demographic, the hood. But then still over here, I'm not even trying to reach them, but just because of word of mouth, and just because, you know, birds of a feather fly together. So people over here start hearing about this dude D1 who like, nah, dude be spitting that real, or dude be, you know, dude is in the word, you know what I'm saying? Dude is one of us, he's a Christian, dude is this, that, and the third. And they'll start hearing about me, so I'm feeling this pull, you know, I'm feeling this tug over here that like, yo, people over here want your music, D. But I'm, for the longest, like, man, well, they just gonna have to find it on their own, because, you know, I'm not worrying about them. You know, this is what I'm worrying about. And you get to the point where growing as an artist, like, you stifling your own growth, you know, because like any class that you sit in, you know, when you're exposed to that class and that coursework and that teacher, you're gonna become knowledgeable about that subject, you know. If you purposely close yourself off, you know, from a class, if you never go to science class, you can't learn science, you know, like you won't be able to learn science, you know, the way you won't be able to learn science the way you could. You could probably teach yourself online and Google different things, but it's not the same as sitting in that class. So if for the longest I'm just closing myself off from this whole side of a fan base that I could have been obtaining, you know, I'm not allowing myself to grow. Then it's like another way, man, when it talks about the struggles and challenges of growing as an artist, I hope that nobody in here, I never went through this. And I hope nobody in here does. But if you do, it's fine. That's what we're here to deal with. Is I never went through trying to be somebody that I wasn't. You know, that whole thing of trying to rap and making you think. I did for like one semester. I'll tell y'all the truth. When I first got to college, it was just me, a few of my boys from New Orleans, and we was all fresh in college, just right around when Katrina hit, Hurricane Katrina. And we had never wanted to rap before in our lives. And all of a sudden somebody had the bright idea, like, man, why don't we just rap? You know, you can download this program free online. Somebody buy a little cheap microphone. And we in the dorm room and we rapping and we recording ourselves. And we could burn this CD and we got a mixtape, you know? So, man, we'd be rapping about the most ratchet. I'm talking about hood. Man, we must have been killing so many people in the rap, man, and just all this, you know, popping that big dope boy talk, like I'm pushing Lex Bubbles and, you know, Beamers, Benzes, Bentleys, you heard me? Knowing I got a Honda outside, you know what I mean? But look, so I did that for about a semester. Then that stuff grew old real quick to me, man. Like for them, like they still not tired of it. Like honestly, some of them still rap to this day, you know, 8 years later, and they still talking about the same stuff. That stuff grew old so quick. So I didn't, you know, you hinder yourself from growing as an artist if you're living a lie. You know what I mean? So that's the first step, is like, yo, not that. But another way, this is a way in which I hindered myself for a long time, man. Like, to grow as an artist, you're gonna be speaking on your real experiences that you're living in present tense, you know? Some stories, and I might name some songs, and some of y'all might have heard them, some of y'all might have not heard them, but they come from past experiences. Jason Jeter, you know, I know my man know my song, Jason Jeter. That's some real life stuff. That really happened like 3 years ago. The Garden of Eden is a song, you know that really happened, you know, growing up in the East, in New Orleans. Like that happened when I was probably a teenager, you know. Different songs that are from the past. Lord Help Me, that was a song that was from some past experiences. But a lot of what you're gonna rap about is what you're going through now, you know, like what you're experiencing now. So to grow as an artist, you need to number one, come to grips with who you're trying to reach, like what market you're trying to reach. And number two, you need to expose yourself to the type of energy and to the type of resources that's gonna allow you to speak to that fan base, you know. So if I'm trying to speak to people in the church, but if I'm not even going to church myself, you know, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Or if I'm trying to, you know, straight up, if I'm trying to speak to people that are, you know, trying to let God be the center of their lives and just be behind the driver's seat. But if I'm not hanging around any of those people, if I'm like, I just want to hang with all my hood friends all day who are talking about some totally different stuff, but I want my music to reach people that are, you know, that are trying to do something with their lives, like that's a contradiction. You know, that there's a contradiction. And we just need to stop worrying about other people accepting us and what people think about us, man. We really do. Like, I tell y'all the truth, and this might start controversy, this might make people feel like I'm taking sneak shots at certain people, but it kind of really, you know, it really, so I ain't grow up, you know, I ain't grow up listening to Christian hip hop. I ain't know what Christian hip hop was, straight up. That's a, you know, God, you know I'm telling the truth. Like, I didn't know about none of that stuff. I grew up listening to, I know every Lil Wayne lyric, every Juvenile lyric, every Master P, you know, not Silk the Shocker, but, right, but you know, all that stuff, Nas, DMX, I grew up on all that. So for me to, no distance, Silk my home, man. I don't record, but yeah. Nah, but real talk, man, when it got to the point where, I started to understand about Christian hip hop and everything, I was like, wow, this is cool. The first person I heard of was Lecrae, you know, a brother in college put me onto it. I was like, this is what's up. So then, you know, when it becomes, I know now the cool thing in Christian hip hop is to say, I'm not a Christian rapper. You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm new to this whole thing. You heard me? Like I say about 3 or 4 years ago is when I'm first hearing about, you know, just this as a scene and knowing about all this. So I'm like, all right, cool, this is tight, like this is dope. So when I'm seeing that now the new wave is, well, I'm not a Christian rapper, I don't, you know, I'm just a rapper, you know, and I'm a Christian. I'm like, you gotta be real careful, you know, like some people, like Lecrae, he can say that and he gonna be okay. Cause the Christian fans that love Lecrae are gonna continue to love him, you know what I mean? They're not gonna trip. But that's something that's very dangerous when it's like, this is who still buys the bulk of your music, you know. Right. This is who. So this was my problem for the longest, you know what I mean. This the thing though. Yeah. When somebody think about it like this, I talk in analogies a lot, like parables, like Jesus did in the Bible. Think about your girl. If your girl, anybody here married? All right, cool. So for all the married brothers, like if you done been with your girl for 15 years, y'all done been through everything, thick and thin, you know, good, bad times, sickness and health, rich and poor, all that stuff, then if you say something that catches her off guard, it might catch her off guard and she might look at you like, what you just said? But she not gonna leave you. You don't have to worry about is she packing her bags. If you say, girl, you didn't really look good in that outfit you had on yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I just want to keep it real with you. Like, what you had on yesterday, I feel like it was a little too revealing, or I just feel like what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you watching a little too much Love and Hip Hop, or if you kind of, you know, if you chin check her right quick, you know, like so to say, all right, cool. You still don't have to worry about will you wake up and she's gone the next day. Right. But if you on the first date with that girl, and you like, look, you don't really look too good at what you got on right now. Are you gonna get a second date with her? No. Probably not, you know what I mean? So you gotta be real careful when you make bold moves like that and bold statements. So when you have a wave of people who are like, yo, I'm not a Christian rapper, the fact that all the Christian hip hop fans love you, you can get away with that. And they're gonna still love you and they're gonna be like, for real? Okay, and they're gonna listen to why. You know, why aren't you a Christian rapper all of a sudden? Because you used to be a Christian rapper, you know? So why are you not one all of a sudden? So people will listen, and then they'll say, okay, cool, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm still riding with you, you know what I mean? But if you're not to the point where you've been with them for 15 years, and you brand new to the scene, and you're trying to get these people to come to your concerts and buy your music, but then you're also doing stuff that's contradictory to what they would want to hear, it becomes tough, you know? So when you talk about growing as an artist, that's what I did for the longest. Like, I had this pull, like literally I went on tour with Lecrae. Me, Lecrae, my man Propaganda, y'all probably heard of Prop. Me, Lecrae, Prop, and Bone Hampton, comedian, real funny dude. We went on tour together. This is the top of last year, 2013, right? So up until this point, man, my whole career, I'm trying to reach the hood. That's all I want to reach. I'm just infatuated with being the hood hero, you know what I mean? Literally, like I put out this mixtape, the Focus tape in 2012, and one of the songs called Master P was like, hood hero, look at me, ain't no limit, Master P, you know, you know, I wanted to be the hood hero, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. But what I'm realizing is, even when I play them songs for the hood and all that stuff, they like, yeah, it's alright, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But people over here is like, man, anything you do is dope, D. Like, we rocking with you. Right. And I'm like, but I ain't really trying to reach y'all, you know what I'm saying? So, but that is the dumbest thing you can do as an artist, is to feel people who are feeling your music and to know that people are feeling you, but you're shunning them, you know? So when I just told my man Tyler downstairs, I'm like, God dealt with me twice in my career. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm glad I'm hosting this thing, because I could vent a little bit to y'all. Man, God dealt with me twice in my career so far. So one was January 2013. And once again, I went from rapping as a college student, you know, gave my life to Christ my freshman year. So that was cool. So I'm saved, I'm a believer from the time I start rapping. But it's not all the way reflected in my music, you know, the whole time that I'm rapping. Then I get to the point where I'm not rapping about foolishness anymore, but I'm just kind of in that middle ground of people can't really tell. They're like, is he a positive? He's a positive dude, he's conscious. I think he a Christian, I can't really tell, you know what I'm saying? But then I go through this, in fact, I go through this period of like, yo, I want to be the anti-Lil Wayne. I want to be, New Orleans had Lil Wayne, now I want to have D1, and I want to balance off a lot of the, you know, messed up influence I feel like he's had. And I get infatuated with that. And the whole time, you know, I'm just running from who's really rocking with me, you know, who's really like constantly, you know, rocking with me. Like, as an artist, you know, it's tough. I started teaching middle school a couple of years ago. I got students, you know, looking up to me and all this stuff. And yet and still, I'm listening to what they listening to. They listening to Lil Boosie. You know, I taught in Baton Rouge, so they listening to Lil Boosie. They listening to Wayne. They listening to all that stuff. And I'm wanting them to listen to D1 instead, you know what I mean? And I'm realizing that they get to the point where they respect D1 and they know D1 could spit. But even them, like, it's a lot to just recondition somebody's mind when they have what they want, you know? But yet still the people that's gravitating towards me, I'm like, man, look, I'll go do this little church gig right quick since y'all want me to come in and y'all even paying me. Like, I never got paid to do shows until a couple of years ago. Like, y'all gonna pay me too? All right, I'm gonna come do this, but I ain't finna tweet about it. I ain't finna let nobody know, because this is gonna mess up my credibility with the people I wanna reach. Messing up, bruh. Messing up, bruh. Like, now that I look messing up, bruh. Like, these are people who loving me, you know what I'm saying? Doing what they'll never pay me to do, you know what I'm saying? These people ain't finna pay me. I'm paying to get on their stages.
Right.
I'm paying to go to Atlanta and perform at open mics, hoping that I can get the hood to accept me. These people paying me to come perform, you know what I mean? But I'm not wanting to really talk about this publicly, because this ain't who I really wanted to reach, you know? Right. So January 2013, like, I had a little meltdown, you know, and I was just like, man, I'm trying so hard to reach this. I feel like God is tugging at me and pulling at me, saying, like, listen, I have a unique type of fan base that's gonna be a mixture of this and this that I want you to reach, you know? And I'm at war with it, and finally, you know, I broke down and I wrote this song, and it's called I'm Not Perfect, I'm a Christian, you know? That's when I wrote that song, so y'all might have heard that, right? So truthfully, just to be real with y'all, I did that, man. That's one of the main reasons why I got signed to RCA, is that song. The first time I just finally let God just take control, I said, what is Juvenile gonna think if he hear this song though? You know, I was scared. Like, they gonna be like, man, what D1 doing now? He talking about he a Christian and this, that, and the third. Like, what? You know, what is somebody else I had featured? What Manny Fresh gonna think if he hear this song come out? You know what I mean? What are people overall gonna feel about me then? You know, I got Cash Money courting me, you know, trying to sign me. You know, I got the text messages all in my old iPhone, you know, of all this back and forth with me and them. What are they gonna think if I do this? But I just got to the point where I said, man, I'm tired of like trying to, you know, just ride the fence, man. So that's how I started the song. I was so tired of riding the fence. Feel like the Lord looking down like, D, I ain't convinced. It all hit me one night. What's my purpose on this earth? I think I lost sight. All right, you know, and I just kept elaborating from there. So I finally was just like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. We're gonna see what happens. Man, it just opens up this floodgate of blessings, you know, from there. Open up this floodgate of blessings. Like I said, the label situation with RCA came about, it ended up being a good situation. So it took months and months to negotiate the contract and the terms, but I ended up doing that, you know, that deal, cool. Right after that, shortly after that, and I'm not gonna say it's because of the song, but then Lecrae called, you know what I'm saying? Literally called me. Like, yo, we putting this tour together. We want you to get on this tour with us, you know what I'm saying, and go out. The Higher Learning Tour, me, him, Propaganda, my man Bone Hampton, go out on tour with Lecrae. So I'm like, dang, I just came on tour with Grand Hustle, you know, with Young Dro, Killer Mike, and Pac Div. Then I went on tour with my man Murs. Then I went on tour with Macklemore. I had just finished 52 city tour with Macklemore. You know, y'all know Macklemore. Straight mainstream, you know? And I was like, wow. That tour already had me thinking, because that tour wasn't hood, you know, as far as the people who were coming to the shows. It was straight white people, you know? Suburban white people too. And, you know, I was like, man, I don't really, you know, this ain't really who I'm trying to appeal to. But then I started getting the paychecks every night. And I was like, this might not be that bad. So I was like, whoa. So I was already thinking. And then I would have merchandise, and I'm like, y'all actually buy merchandise. Oh my gosh, you know? I'm like, whoa, hold on. Hell no, hold on. Real talk. I'm gonna keep it all the way real with y'all. So that tour already had me thinking, you know. That was from October through December. And this is like January that, like I said, I just felt myself being dealt with, because being around that energy for so long, I was just like, man, I maybe need to open myself up more to just who I'm open to reaching, because then they rocking with my music. They ain't never heard of me before, but I'm doing a 40-minute set every night, and these people rocking with me. Dog, 40 minutes of people not knowing any of your stuff, that's a long time, bro. Long time. But these people was rocking with me, man, like rocking with me, so tough. So I was just like, man, you know, God is working on me. I'm seeing that, you know. Meanwhile, I'm on a tour bus with Macklemore, and he asking me stuff like, yeah, man, so like, what makes you like not cursing your music, or like, you know, where you at in terms of, you know, just like, I know, you know, I can tell that you're different, and I'm still to the point where I'm kind of like wanting to give the cool industry answer rather than be like, nah, man, it's my faith in God, you know what I'm saying? I'm a Christian, bro, that's why I don't do it. I'm just saying stuff like, man, you know, you heard me, my grandpa, you know, like, told me, if I cuss, he was going blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just crazy, bro. And I'm looking back on it now like, damn, man. And like I said, God dealt with me right after that tour, man, like a month later, in January. So that was a big moment for me in that January. So I wrote that song that I'm not perfect, I'm a Christian. And it just felt like the floodgates kind of opened for me a lot more to receive what God was trying to tell me. So simultaneously, a few people in here are from New Orleans, so they know that like it's very slim pickings down there in terms of people who you can even work with, who number one, who you can trust, and number two, who really have your back, like on your mission. Like some people are still amazed at the lack of big team or infrastructure that I have around me, you know what I mean? Like people trip out, like me and Lecrae talk a lot, and he'll be like, man, like what? Like he'll describe the type of infrastructure he has around him. Somebody who does this, pick out the beats, do the hooks, do this, handle the promo, do the marketing, set up this. And I'm like, yeah, with me, no, I do all that. I do all that stuff. And I'm being for real, and I'm like, dang. So it's crazy. It's crazy. So the thing is though that you gotta realize that when you do get people, you want keepers. You don't want to be constantly cycling out through people. Just like a wife, you get a wife, you want to have that one wife. You like, look, we're gonna ride or die together until the end. That's what you want. That's how it is when it comes to people who you work with. Because over here, when you operating out of your domain, out of your area, your jurisdiction, like if I'm in Jefferson Parish, a New Orleans police officer can't arrest me. You know what I'm saying? You out of your jurisdiction, huh? Like nah, like you have a certain location where you can arrest me at. But if you out of your jurisdiction, you can't arrest me. So I can't really make change like I want to if I'm operating out of the jurisdiction in which God called me to, utilize the gifts He gave me, to be an artist. So you got to think about, you got to come to grips with what is your jurisdiction, like where is God really calling you to operate at with your gifts, with your talents. So for me, I was doing it wrong for so long, man, and 2013 things started to really change for me, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then, I get signed, and then it's like when you're something very rare, you know what I mean? And like what I'm doing is very rare. It's not like I started out, I've always been a Christian from the beginning who just didn't want to get boxed into just being a Christian artist, but I wanted to pretty much reach whoever, but I was so concerned about not getting boxed in that often I would turn my back on other Christians or other believers and things like that when it came to my music. But it's different when you started out, in this lane fully, like this is strictly who we doing this for, and then you start to cross over and attempt to cross over. So the thing now is I started going through a relapse, you know what I mean? Part 2 of everything I described to y'all. Started going through part 2 of it, which is like, yo, now I'm cool. Like I'm seeing that I could be me and doors are opening up and all this good stuff. But now I'm going through part 2 of it, which is I'm still trying to appeal to so many people and I'm only one person, you know what I mean? What you want as an artist, and I just told my man Corey and my man T this downstairs, you want people to love you, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people know D1 today. A lot of people know D1. I done had videos on MTV, all these, like when I walk, like me and Lecrae was at the BET Awards probably for the last 2 years together, just kicking it, we buzzed. Like, it'd be to the point where you would think that I really have won Grammys and things like that. Cause when we walking, of course people know who Lecrae is, but you better believe people like D1, blah, blah, blah. But, so I've gotten exposure, but if you're not operating within your jurisdiction in which the Lord called you, there's a difference between those people knowing you and those people loving you. And a lot of people could know you as an artist. I know this firsthand. A lot of people know me as an artist, but because I've been trying to, operate in a certain realm for so long, a lot of these people know me, you know what I'm saying? But they don't necessarily love me, And you get to the point where you say, man, like, what's more important to me? Is it more important to be known or to be loved, Oh, we gotta wrap up soon. Thanks. But you know, you get to that point where you say, all right, I can only do so much as an artist. Number one, are you trying to do this as a hobby and just be like, yo, regardless of what happens, I just want to get this certain message out there, and if it don't pop off, if I can't feed my family off of it, oh well, I made the music I wanted. Or are you trying to do this stuff and make this a business, you know? This is how I eat at this point, you know? So there's a business aspect to it. Some of the people I'm trying to reach with my music for so long might be the people who I might change Charlie's life, you know what I'm saying? A dude over here in the hood named Charlie, I might change his life, but he might never buy a D1, you know, CD, or might never come to a D1 show because he heard about D1 for so long, and one day it hit him and I helped change his life. So that's valuable, you know what I'm saying? But if you're trying to balance that off with the business side of, I'm trying to make a living off of what I do, who's gonna buy your stuff? You know what I mean? Like who's really feeling you based on the type of music that you making? You know, you gotta ask yourself that. I'm just getting to the point where I'm starting to ask myself these questions, and I'm starting to reassess how I approach things. So God dealt with me again, what, September 20th, man, and that was, shoot, what, 3 weeks ago, you know what I'm saying? God dealt with me again, man. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. Check this out. I got picked to be on the BET Cypher, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, this is a dream come true. I'm like, oh yeah, bet. Now when you think about it, you know, I can sit here and spit a 16 for y'all right now and make y'all be like, woo, that boy can spit. But what I'm spitting about, it might make people, you know, it might make this group over here in the hood, you know, it might make the Lil Wayne crowd be like, oh, that boy D1 cold. And the only thing we know is that he ain't cursed. But other than that, he a beach, you know what I'm saying? Cause if I'm trying to appeal to them, I could jump over here because I got talent and spit a 16 that'll have your pastor and your youth pastor and your, you know, your grandma like, oh, that was wonderful. I understood everything he said and you know what I'm saying? Like, all that good stuff. You know, I could do that. I could try to look. I could try to say, man, let me try to do something that's gonna appeal to them and them at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And maybe 8 appeal to them and the other 8 appeal to them over here. And let me try to do that. Or I could try to, you know, like, I don't know, do 4 that's gonna appeal to them, 4 that's gonna appeal to, like, and it just become like you overthinking it, you know what I'm saying? You gotta really come to grips with like who you are, you know what I'm saying? You can't be double-minded, dog. Like, what scripture is that? I hope somebody know, cause I don't know, but I know.
Mind the man from stepping in all his ways, but this.
Come on, man, that's it, dog. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So you can't be like that, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, stuff shouldn't be this hard. Like, rapping is not hard for me, man. Like rapping is not hard. So when you get to the point where it's taking you days and days to write 16 bars, man, when people reach out to me and to do, whether it's a feature or this, that, man, that stuff takes 20 minutes, man, 16 bars. And it be dope, you know what I mean? Because when I'm operating within my jurisdiction and doing what I know. But when you to the point where you're being double-minded and you overthinking, like, well, who I'm trying to, you know, blah, 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 and all this stuff, it ends up being way harder than it should be.
That's what it said, like, to you, that scripture I was going to say, like, to affirm, like, it says, and they should expect to receive
anything from God. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Woo! I ain't know.
That's what it says.
That's harsh, man.
Right.
Don't even expect, and we still be like, it's coming. It's
Come on, man.
Don't expect it.
Come on, man. Come on, man. What? No, so that's so real, bro. And it's like, that's why going to church on Sundays, you know, you tithing, you doing this, you're not out here, you know, wilding or nothing. All that stuff cool, but staying firmly rooted in that word to the point where you ain't gonna let nothing like that slip. You know what I mean? Slip past you. So where it's like, man, if I'd have been reading consistently, I probably God would have let me run across that scripture right when I needed it. You know what I mean? But if you're inconsistent with what you're doing and with your walk, or if you half-heartedly, you know, serving God, then things like that, it's gonna be to the point. Because once I read it in the Word, it's like, oh, I have no reason to even wonder about it anymore. This is the standard right here. You know, this is the way, the truth, and the light. Right here is what I read in the Word. But if you're not firmly rooted in that, then you get to the point where, and then if people around you are not firmly rooted in that, your team is so important. Your circle of influence is so important. If I'm the most word-driven, spirit-filled person in my circle, that when I ask my homie, like, what you think about this? How you think this gonna come across? He gonna get real advice, because that's my dude, and you know what I'm saying? We rock with each other. But it's not coming from the foundation in which I need good advice to come from. It's just coming from my homie, you know what I'm saying? Come on, bro, as opposed to like, dude, like, you probably read what I needed to read. So when I ask you for advice, you can help balance me off, you know what I'm saying? And balance my knowledge based on the word, Like, that's why, so God dealt with me. And that was the day he dealt with me, because I was just like, man, like, this is too hard, you know what I'm saying? This is feeling like it's too hard, And now with me being signed, and you got other pressures that are coming along with, like, all right, what type of music am I making, and who is it gonna appeal to? What side is it gonna appeal to? Like, I have a single right now that come out Tuesday. It's called Against Us. It'll be on iTunes, right? So that's going to urban radio, you know what I mean? I got a whole different single, the song, that I'm Not Perfect, I'm a Christian. That's getting sent to gospel radio, you know what I mean? Exclusively to gospel radio. I'm like, that's such a blessing that, wow, like I'm able to make music. But I got, churches that love Against Us, that's loving that. And I got mainstream people that's loving I'm Not Perfect, I'm a Christian. So they both, you know what I'm saying? But I think about them songs, that's why this walk with God gotta be consistent. I wrote those songs. I wrote one of them in 2013, and it was straight driven by the Spirit, you know what I'm saying? Because I was really going through it at that time, and God really dealt with me. And I wrote Against Us probably January/February of this year, and I was in a good space mentally, you know what I'm saying? A real good space. And just even the music you making, you're gonna find that when God got his fingertip just touching that pen, you know what I'm saying? Or just touching that paper when you write it, you're just gonna be like, I never thought this song would have, did all this. Right. I'm thinking my industry friends is gonna judge me by writing this song, and this is a song that helped me get signed, you know what I mean? Changed my life. I'm thinking Against Us, like I'm thinking it's a mixtape throwaway record. Truthfully, that's what it was supposed to be. That's why the lyric video that you watch, that me in the background rapping and all that, when I'm blurred out, that was a real music video, and that's because we shot it in one day real quick, because I was like, this is just going to be a little throwaway record, you know what I'm saying? But because I had the Spirit with me when I wrote that, and because God put his fingertip on that paper when I wrote that, fool around, and this is my first major label single, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. So, but it don't matter, because it has to continue to be a consistent walk. So like I said, get to the point where September 20th, I'm here, and I got like this opportunity, this cipher, and all this type of stuff. I'm like, this is dope. But if I'm to the point where I'm not, if I'm to the point where I'm wavering, in my walk, or I'm wavering in my consistency with staying connected, to the Spirit fully, then stuff that should be super easy becomes super hard, you know what I mean? And it gets to the point where you just be like, man, like, I don't know. People might love what I did, you know what I'm saying? I know I can rap, so people gonna love that, that side of it. But I know that I'm not really proud of that, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that I revert back to my old ways of, like, am I trying to, who do I want to reach? That's what I was asking myself. I'm trying to reach these people, and these people, and these people, and these people, instead of just being like, God, let me settle down, let me focus, And I know that based on me just praying and being in touch with your Spirit, you have who you want me to reach, and you always put the words in me. I'm never at a loss for words when it comes to rapping. So since you always put them in me, bam, go, press play, and just start writing. You know what I'm saying? Instead of that, you get back to trying to take things into your own hands, and and you end up being like, to the point where it's like, man, I ain't really like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really happy with that stuff, and that's not to say that people not like, this is gonna be a great look. Honestly, like, I could spit the verse for y'all that I rap, you know what I'm saying? I could spit that for y'all right now. Y'all gonna be like, yeah, he's spitting, yeah. But I'm not happy because I know that I had to put way too much thought into it, and I know why, because I've been doing that for years and years and years when I'm not fully connected to the Spirit. So when it comes to advice, to bring this thing full circle, when it comes to advice for artists, who's coming up or struggling with something, it's like you have to really be in touch, really be in touch with who God wants you to reach, and with why He gave you this talent. You know what I'm saying? As far as putting a classification on what you do, are you a Christian rapper, or you're not a Christian rapper, all that stuff is for marketing purposes, man. And people say that stuff, and I'm not a Christian rapper, or this, that, and the third. Like you know, and God might be dealing with you and tell you that He don't want you to just reach the church no more. So that's cool. If as long as it's spirit driven, you know what I'm saying? As long as it's not like, yo, this could make more money. You know, if we could stop just you being boxed in, we could make a lot more money. As long as it ain't just that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can never knock what anybody does, including with me. You know what I mean? Like I never section off certain people and say I don't want my music to reach them or appeal to them, you know, anymore. I never do that stuff, you know. And I understand that y'all know how life is too, man. Like, you can feel strongly about this today, and then late tonight you could be totally like, man, I was tripping earlier. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you gotta consistently, you know what I mean, have accountability partners, and you gotta consistently have, you gotta keep good company. Like, plug it in, right. You hear me? Straight up. So it's a situation where right now, as I look around this table and I see all of y'all, you know, I want everyone to succeed in a way to where your success is not measured by what you wanted it to be. Wow. But you're in touch with God's will enough to where you knowing like, yo, I'm really winning in God's eyes right now with what I'm doing. And trust me, like when you're living in accordance to His spirit and you're within His will, you'll be straight, because you won't be doing like the first thing I said, which is comparing yourself to other people.
That's right.
You won't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like man, that stuff is the worst when you start doing that. Yeah, that stuff is the worst. So like social media, like my man T, like I told you, if you ever want me to see something on social media, I gotta be added. I have to be mentioned in it, because social media, bro, I used to be comparing myself to other people without even trying, you know what I'm saying? But you're just looking at what they posted. Like, damn, you gotta show Hawaii. I ain't never been to Hawaii, dog. Like, you know? Nah, bro. So even if you're not, I've never been a jealous person. Ever. But it's just to the point where when that's what that stuff is built for a lot of times, you know what I mean? They do that so that people like just subliminally competing with one another. So the way I do social media, I don't even leave my, you know, I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but me, it started by me fasting and getting off of it. And then I was so like, wow, like I like the way I was even thinking, bro, when I wasn't on that stuff for them 3 weeks. Then when I did, look, it's part of my job, you know what I mean? I gotta be on social media and post, you know. So I said, cool, but the way I'm gonna do it is, I'm gonna do it in a way to where I get on here, I post what I post, and I just stay on my timeline. Whoever hit me up and add me, I'm gonna see what they said, I can interact with them. But other than that, I'm off. So even if I'm following people, that's just because you know how you see that dude in the street, he like, say, bro, why don't you follow me on Twitter, bro? Why you don't follow your boy? And I don't be wanting to say, nah, man. Like, I just be like, all right, cool, I'll follow you right now, dog. But I ain't gonna never see none of you post, to be honest. Why? No diss to you. But for me, I gotta stay focused on what God want me focused on. And He don't want me covered in my neighbor's goods. He don't want me covered in my neighbor's tours. He don't want me coveting my neighbors, you know, anything, you know what I'm saying? His album sales, He don't want me doing none of that. So for me, it's knowing what God has put in place for me to be able to stay connected to the spirit and just the train of thought that He wants, you know? And that's just because, yeah, bro, it's trying to be connected to His will, man. So that's some advice that I, you know, that's just real life, man. As I walk through this game, you know, and I'm knowing that. So what that did was, so the September 20th thing, the reason why I say that, that's the day that we went and we filmed the BET Awards, you know what I mean? And so I'm there and I'm looking and I'm remembering, I'm knowing what I spit already, but I'm looking, I'm like, well, maybe God will do a miracle and it'll be a whole different verse that I ain't even spit that day. But then when I see it on TV, miraculously I just beat and spit something else. I convinced myself, I'm like, God can do anything, you heard me? I'm like, no, God, He done did crazy and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there waiting to see, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really looking. And as I see it and it come on there and everything, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, well, that's the verse I spit. And I'm just looking, and I'm like, okay. So I'm seeing people behind me, they like, ooh, when they hear certain lines and all this type of stuff, and I'm like, that's dope. But me, I'm just like, dang, bro. I'm looking, and I'm just like, dang, bro. Dang, you know? And for real, man. Like, man. And then, after that, bro, I'm in Atlanta at the time. You know, I live in New Orleans. I'm in Atlanta, so I got a long drive back home. Man, all the dopest bars of my whole life start coming to me. You know what I mean? Like, right after that, Like, I'm thinking of the illest, you heard me? I'm like, oh, bro, why I didn't think of this? I'm like, man, it took me so long to because I was overthinking and I was trying to operate out of my jurisdiction, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Straight up. Like, I ain't thinking none of this that I'm talking about right now, you know what I mean? But I know it's reaching people, I can tell. You know what I mean? Because he's speaking through me. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Like, that's how real this stuff is. That's how real this stuff is. So I'm just like, man, it's cool. So I'm ready for October 14th. I'm ready for that to just come and go. You hear me? But I ain't tripping because I know what it did. I needed that. I needed that day.
Right.
I needed that whole experience because now what it has produced in D1,
Come on.
You better.
beast, you heard me? Straight beast, straight up. Like, so everything I'm writing, like, I gotta go to New York. I got a busy day on the 14th. My single come out for sale on iTunes, The Against Us. So y'all can cop that if y'all rock with the boy. But the cypher come on that night, but also I gotta go up there and film. Y'all ever heard of the back room that they have, BT back room on 106 and Park? So I gotta go film that day. So guess when I wrote that verse? I wrote that the night after I saw the cypher thing, when I was feeling so down and in the dumps and so bad. I said I'm about to channel all this energy. I'm about to unleash. I'm about to unleash on that background. So that's not gonna air probably till I don't know when it's gonna air. Probably in a month or two, right when my EP drop. Probably December or January. But yeah, and it took that experience. It took identifying what the problem was, cause it ain't the bars. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I was sitting there like that was whack, that was watered down. Nah, it ain't that. But it's just knowing that, yo, I know how I feel to be connected to God's spirit and to let him, I don't have punchlines or, all that in every single song, but it's in terms of songs having impact and me feeling like that's what God wanted me to write, you know what I'm saying? That's what I measure success by nowadays. And if I'm not doing that, man, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not doing that, I'm not gonna be happy with, I don't care what people say. People gonna like the stuff, man. People gonna like this when they see it. Trust me, they gonna like it. But I'm knowing that, like, yeah, between me and you, like, it was alright, huh? Yeah, I could have did better, my bad. That's how I'm feeling when I'm talking to God about it, because I'm knowing what my mindset was. And that's just where I'm at with everything, you feel me? So, moving forward, I'm gonna get you home. Moving forward, like, I'm taking that same feeling and I channeled that disappointment and I identified what the problem was, and I said, cool, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna make sure that I stay connected, to the power outlet to where I never have to feel disconnected anymore. And therefore, since I'm connected, everything I write finna be electric. It's straight electricity now, you know what I'm saying? So going in. And that's what I've been on, dog, and that's how I'm coming. You feel me? So that's how I'm knowing. I'm like, yeah, I can't predict every step of the journey, but I know that artistically moving forward from September 20th, moving on till the day I, hang up my cleats and don't even, rap anymore, I'm knowing that, yeah, I'm about to be good. As long as I consistently stay rooted in the word and keep that good company and keep those people around me. That's what it is, right? Stay in my jurisdiction, exactly, bro. That's what it is. So it's a lifestyle, you know what I mean? It's a lifestyle, you know what I mean? It's a lifestyle, bro. It's a lifestyle, dog. So that's, so that's it. The end.
Good word.
I would just say this. I know you opened up in prayer, man. But is there anything that, as a community of believers, that we could be praying for? Yeah, that's good. Supporting you.
Most definitely. I would say, like right now, what I've been praying for is I've been praying for the right team, man. Honestly, the right team, bro. Like I woke up this morning and really, like, I'm currently fasting. Right now I have my own fast. I have things that I've given up, and it's to make it to where, like, I'm really trying to be more prayerful about, having the right people around me, because, Jesus, without the 12 disciples, he's still the Son of God. He's still our Lord and Savior. Right. But, them 12 disciples sure helped a lot in what he had and what he accomplished while he was down here. You know what I mean?
Good word.
That type of stuff. So that's just an analogy,
Cool. I have a question. Is there anybody in here when he said that about the vision? Did anybody get a vision of what his team looked like at all?
I have
Nobody? When I said that?
when I just said that, and I said, what can I pray about? And he said, my heart is to get a team. Did anybody get a vision? Did anything spark up in y'all? Okay. I just wanted to see
That was one of those things, man, where
I will be praying though. I definitely like from the heart, bro. I will be praying. Yeah, like to be real, man. Like just keep it 100 with you, man. Like when I first heard you, I was like, this dude rapping was crazy. I heard you on that work. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this dude, he sound like you say. He sound like he in there. He sound like so. But me, I'm not the type of person that'd be like, I'ma just shun this person. I'm gonna do my research on who this person is. So I had to begin to do my research. I'm like, oh, this man trying to be the hood hero. You know what I'm saying? So then, like, kind of my mission is like trying to lead cats out the hood too and lead them to Christ. But I'm gonna tell you, right? I'm a gospel rapper. I claim it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I understood what you was trying to do. So from watching you, man, come up, man, I understand. Like, it get tough sometimes, man. It get tough. So from the heart, man, I definitely be praying for you, man. You got my support 100, man.
Definitely, bro. One man army, bro. God's gonna lift you out of that to build a team around you, bro. Cause I've been jamming you for a long time, bro. When you said, I knew you were an undercover Christian. When you said, I get my power from the dog spelled backwards.
Yep.
When you hit
no applause.
Yeah. When you spit that, and I've been jamming you since back in the day. I was in New Orleans, and I was like, man, this dude undercover. But you got bars, parables. You're gonna have that blend, bro. Secret Service. But build that team around you, bro. Be faithful with it. Be strength. Be moving the power, bro. Don't compromise just for the word, but the spirit of God, the power of God. Moving forward, bridge a lot of these communities. Because a lot of people, they want the gospel, but they want it tainted. They want it the way they want it.
Right.
You got to give it real. You got to give them the word of God, the spirit of God, and the full force, bro. So I've been supporting you since day one, bro. You're real, man.
I appreciate y'all, man. And it's a life mission, man. So that's what I want everyone in here to understand. Like we can all win as long as we operating within the will of Christ, and as long as we're making Him proud, like making God smile straight up, then we are winning. Like that might not be measured by billboard short toppers or getting signed or not getting signed or anything or being the hood hero. But it's like, if God want me to be the hood hero, guess what? I'm gonna be the hood hero as long as I'm operating within His will. I'm gonna be that. But I got to the point where I decided that that's what I wanted, and I know that wasn't what God told me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still dealing with God. What do you want me to be? Maybe it just don't have a name. Maybe it's just something that I don't know how to classify it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just something that people will classify it many different things. Because if I look on my timeline, some people are like, D1 is my favorite Christian rapper, and other people are like, man, this nigga spitting, man. Like straight up. And I'm like, yo, God, you know that's you, man. So it's like, and that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. It ain't gonna be about us deciding what it is, Like all of y'all who talking about y'all married, you know what I mean? We all men in here. It ain't like when we was young, we knew exactly what our wife was gonna look like and every characteristic. Chances are that love a lot of times just hit you from left field, and you be like, dang, like I never would have thought. But I love this girl to death, you know what I'm saying? But I never would have thought that. That's how it'll be with God, operating first in your life, man. Anything anybody in here got, like, whether it's advice or questions about your journey or just anything, man, like, that's
I say one thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something real quick as far as success. Like, it's sometimes we can get stuck in what success really is, right? And what I feel like what success is just accomplished goals. So you'll never know if you're successful if you don't set a goal.
Yeah.
I want to drop an album by December. If I drop it by December, I'm successful. Right? Because how could you measure success? Because you got millionaires that want to be billionaires.
Right.
Like they millionaires and feel like they ain't successful until they get $1 billion. So it's like, what's success is the accomplished goal. If you say, yo, I want to tour by the time I'm this age. If you don't tour by the time you're that age, obviously you didn't do your work, you didn't do your homework, and you might not be successful in that, but that's okay. Keep making goals, and that's how you can measure that, yo, I'm successful. I want to put out an album by next year. And so you don't have to compare like, oh, I think he's successful, because that might not be his goal.
Right.
He might not feel like he's successful is what I'm saying. You might compare yourself to somebody who still might feel like they ain't successful yet.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you fed up because you like he doing a tour over in Africa, right? But he still might be like, this ain't my goal though. I got it.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be here.
But I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to go somewhere else. And they still might not feel like they're successful. And so that was the whole comparison thing, which is dope, and we can get caught up in comparing really quick and feeling like we're unsuccessful because we didn't get to this level. And they feel like they ain't successful. So just set a goal and accomplish that goal, and you're successful.
And as long as you, like, everything is gonna happen how it's meant to happen. It's gonna happen, you know, how God wants it to happen. As long as I know that I wasn't blocking any of my own blessings by not being connected to His Spirit, not operating, you know, under the jurisdiction of the Word and all that stuff. As long as I know I wasn't blocking any of my own blessings, I'm cool with however this thing turned out, man. We was all born, we all gonna die. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a person who has ever measured my happiness with my financial success. You know, I went to Africa when I was in high school. That changed my outlook on what happiness was, because these people, I'm like, man, I'm from the night world, man. I'm from, you know what I mean? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm from the hood, all this stuff. Man, you go there, I go to Ghana, West Africa, and I'm like, bruh, they whole communities have no electricity. The women gotta walk 3 miles every day and put, you know, just to get clean water and walk and balance this over a heavy big pitcher full of water, balance this on top of their head and walk back because it's too heavy for them to carry. Lord, I do not understand how they could, you know, balance this on their head. It's so heavy, full of water. They balance it and they walk and they're still so elegant and graceful. I'm seeing the kids, they smiling. It's just a different type of smile than what I'm used to. It's like, you smiling from the inside, man. Like, that ain't just no, let's take a picture for the gram. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't none of that. It's like you smiling in a way that's like, bruh, you really got something, and I need that, you know? And I tapped into that at an early age. So, like, being happy and all that type of stuff, you know, all that stuff is cool. But I know that joy that comes from being connected to God to the point where it's like, man, that's, long as I know that I'm not blocking any of my blessings, then whatever happens in this music game, it's like, that's what it is. Interviewer's favorite question for me and probably for you all or anybody is, where you see yourself at in 5 years? You know what I'm saying? And man, look, where I see myself at is wherever God wants me to be at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see myself, I have goals to be the best artist I can be, make the smartest decisions I can make on the business side, surround myself with the best people. But in terms of where I see myself and all that type of stuff, it don't matter, because regardless, I'm gonna be happy, you know, as long as I'm operating within my jurisdiction, you know, straight up. And that's what the answer is every time, bro. Every time, because that's what it is. Like, it's not about, they want you to say, well, if I ain't sold this many records, you know, by that time, like, I see myself as this, or I see myself as that. Then if you don't reach that, it's like, so what, are you disappointed? Because you didn't do it, you didn't go platinum, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, man, like, I'm good. LeBron James, you know what I'm saying? Like, he gave an answer, it just was so real, you know, like, and I was like, that's how I feel, but it's because of my faith. I don't know if it's LeBron James' faith that dictated this answer, but during the finals, this last finals, they lost one game, and I think they were on the verge of losing the finals. And in the press conference after, they were like, "Yo, LeBron, like, how do you feel, man? I mean, you guys are one game away from losing the finals, and this will be the second time in 4 years y'all have lost the finals, and blah 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 blah." And he just had this look on his face. You know, he had I think he had one of his sons with him sitting on his lap or something. He was just like, "Look, man, I went out there. I played my hardest. I tried my all. I gave it my all. Tried my best. I'm gonna do that the next game. I encourage my teammates to do the same. But at the end of the day, I'm about to go home to a wife that loves me, 2 little boys that think the world of their daddy, and all they want in life is for me to tuck them in the bed at night, and they gonna be happy." He was like, "I'm good, man." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. Like, I'm not gonna let your pressure that you're trying to put on me of like, what are you gonna do if you lose this game, LeBron? Life is gonna be over. Nah, I think about success and happiness in a bigger context. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that I don't want to win the finals. So you saw me sweating. You saw me dying for that loose ball. You see this blood on my elbow. You know what I'm saying? You saw all that. But don't get it twisted. You ain't finna get me caught up in like, I'm not successful as a person, as a human being, you know what I'm saying? That's some real stuff, bro. So keep that mindset, apply that to your grind, man. Yeah.
Can I ask you a shallow question or a couple shallow questions?
Couple shallow questions.
Yes, please.
Let's get it.
I know we've been getting deep, but I did want to ask you this. First one I'm gonna ask actually is, Is there something that as an independent artist that you felt that you did that set you up to be seen by RCA?
Yeah, what did I do? Yeah.
In the sense of like when you go to a gig, you got your CDs, you got your flyers, you got your banners, all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's several things that could be done to attract the eyes of a record label, and it all comes down to being visible.
And did you do that purposefully, or is that just part of who you were?
Right. So being visible could mean an array of different things. For some people, they're visible because they put a product out for sale, and I know people who have got signed because they put something out for sale and they pushed so many units that they were visible on the Billboard charts. You know, they were visible, like, whoa, we never heard of this dude before. Like, what's your name? Saul Rock?
Saul Rock.
Saul Rock. Dang, we never heard of Saul Rock, but this dude is, you know, number 5 on the Billboard charts. Like, that's only supposed to be big time artist that's up there. We never heard of him. Now he's visible. Let's go Google him. You know what I'm saying? I know people who got signed off of that. I know people who got signed off of label representatives will be coming to your city for a big event like the Bayou Classic or Essence Festival in New Orleans, and you just got the city plastered with posters and all this, and every club they go to, they hear the DJ spinning your song and the club go crazy, you know what I'm saying? So they like, dang, the whole city know this person. What do these people know about this artist that we don't know? You're visible at that point, you know? For me, my visibility came, it wasn't all at once. It was a combination of, I had been on tours without the label, you know what I'm saying? Several tours, you know? I had been on television without the label, you know what I mean? MTV videos, multiple videos without the label, you know? On all these blog sites and getting all this good press without the label. So my visibility came from those type of directions. And yes, all that wasn't done so I could attract a label. That was done so I could attract more of an audience of people who are just like, yo, like, we rock with dude, you know what I mean? Because that's all you feel like as an artist is like, man, if I just had the exposure I needed, I'd be straight, you know? So I did all that stuff just to get the exposure. But don't think that I only, all D1 did was he had a connect at MTV, and he knew these artists, so that's how he got on the tours. No, D1 handed out flyers, thousands of them, one by one by one by one by one, you know what I'm saying? D1 went to all of the shows, there was an open mic, they might have had 20 people there, you know what I'm saying? D1 would drive, when he was a middle school teacher, drive back and forth to Atlanta whenever we have a 3-day weekend or something to go perform in these Club Crucials, you know, like on the Jason Jeter song. Club Crucial, open mic, $35 just to do one song. I'm thinking maybe he'll be there, see me and then the song. It never did work that way, but then you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of stuff that happened, bro, and it didn't pay off immediately, you know what I'm saying? It didn't pay off immediately, but it all mattered at the end of the day, all of that stuff. Because one person would be like, man, I saw your video on MTV. One person would say, I saw you when you came to New York and did a show that was just like a free show, a promo show, but I just happened to be in there and I remember seeing you from that. Another person, you know, is like, I heard about you because I used to read the blogs, you know, and see you. So all that stuff that you can do to enhance your visibility, all matters.
All right, so last one, pretty much. Are you happy you went in the RCA route, or like a small, or like a big independent label like Reach or Sparrow or something like that?
I tried to do a Reach, you hear me? Yeah. So, let me choose my words.
Keep it 100.
Yeah, so I tried that route and it wasn't in God's will. I say that. You know what I mean? Like different things transpired. And it's all love, you know what I'm saying? But that route didn't work for me. I tried, I didn't try, but the Cash Money route, you know, YMCMB, that was there. My man Murs, he was talking about starting an independent label at one time, and me and Murs are real cool, dope West Coast artists. If y'all ain't heard of him, that lady, that's my man. We got some music together. We filmed a movie together too that's about to drop. Yeah, but I was thinking about that, you know, and none of those really worked. I always saw it as something where I felt like I could exist in a major label, you know, system, you know, and that's what I saw. But then when I prayed on it and asked God, you know, like the type of deal I have, it's really cool, man. Like it's really cool, and I'm thankful. And there's ups and downs, I was just on the phone with them for an hour yesterday, and it was, you know, my voice wasn't this calm. You know what I'm saying? Like there were certain things where it's like, I'm like, yo, like what are we doing? Like, you know, there's certain times when it's like that, but it's all working towards a common goal at the end that we all share, you know? So for me, that works, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's good.
And we'll see soon, you know, we'll see real soon, yeah. The journey just beginning.
True. Thank God, man.
Yeah, so, man.
Can we pray for you?
Yeah. Bet, good. I'm glad y'all got a lot. Let's, my man said, so you want close us out in prayer, bro?
Yeah, definitely.
And look, and if you got a prayer for me, cool. But I want everybody. You know what I'm saying? Or if you trying to pray for me specifically, and then I jump in and pray for everybody, like all that. And anybody who feel like they got a word they want to add to it, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Cool.